Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Another week, another dollar.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show a part of your day, and here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an observation you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Now, here's the good news about this tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to this show on a podcast feed, either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not streaming live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode, provided we deem the topic or question appropriate to be addressed on the show. All right, guys. With that all down, oh, you know what? Before we get started, I want to say this. You know, Rob, for the last couple of years, whenever somebody brings up the thing about comic book movie fatigue, what is my standard answer? I always say for the last couple of years, I coined a phrase saying there's no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. There is mediocre movie fatigue. All right? You know,
I agree with that.
I've been saying that for a couple of years now.
I agree with you.
Right? So this weekend, I got a number of people email me telling me about a great injustice, that I have been wronged, Rob. And then finally my business manager sent this to me, as well as everybody else was sending this to me. James Gunn has stolen from me. James Gunn was recently doing an interview with GQ in which this was said.
I don't believe in superhero fatigue. I think there's, mediocre movie fatigue. I think
Gosh,
you can tell.
James, I wonder where he got that.
Did you see that?
He straight up stole from me.
Did you see
Well,
that
you
little...
gotta steal from the best, right, John?
True. But did you see... I'm going to play that one more time.
Play it one more time.
Notice his little... Because he knows he stole it.
I don't believe in superhero fatigue. I think
Right
there's, mediocre movie fatigue.
Guilty.
What else have you stolen, James? If that is your real name? How much of that Superman script was really you?
I bet you he didn't even invent
Where'd the
Superman.
last name Gunn come from anyway?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Come on.
This is an outrage. Outrageous, I tell you. People cancel Gunn, say I. Anyway, I thought it was pretty. I thought it was
Pretty good.
I thought it was pretty funny though when I saw that. I thought it was great. Anyway, all right. It's good to see at least James Gunn agrees with me on that. All right. With that all down, guys, now that we've got the outrage out of the way, let's get our show started here today, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, they announced a while ago that HBO is going to be doing a new Harry Potter series. Mm-hmm. Instead of like 7 movies or whatever it was, they were going to make an entire season out of each of the books, which will allow them to cover a lot of things that the movies never touched on. Recently, casting announcements came out, and we got our kids who are going to play Hermione, Harry, and Ron. Well, now Variety has put out the very first picture of this kid, who I have not loaded up my NDI yet. So do you got that picture though, Jonathan?
Yeah. Why don't you load that up, and I got this right here.
There he is. Look at that cute little guy. Dear heavens.
When I first looked at that article and I scrolled down, I was like, there was a split second where I was like, oh yeah, that's an old picture of Daniel. And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's the new kid. Oh, this is great.
Yeah. By the way, we have our NDI up again now, so thank goodness. But there he is. What an adorable little kid in his little Harry Potter outfit, holding the clap thing. I think this kid looks great. He looks even more like Harry Potter from the books than Daniel Radcliffe did. I'm not saying he's going to necessarily be as good as Daniel Radcliffe. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying when you look at him, that's kind of the way the book kind of envisioned him.
Yeah, although I will say, I think his hairstylist needs to dial it back.
Oh, it's just this is like
That's very British, though.
I guess so.
That's very British hair. Although I don't see the lightning bolt.
No, it's there. I looked. I zoomed in.
Oh, is it there?
When I
Okay,
saw
it's
the
kind of
picture,
hidden under the hair a little bit.
Look, you can see it up on right there on the forehead.
yeah.
Okay, there it is. Yep. So
I looked.
listen. I think this kid looks great. Now, can he act? I don't know. I remember though, like the girl they got to play Hermione, she's literally England's version of Broadway. What's it called? They call it West End.
West End, yeah.
She's literally, even
West
though
End
she's
girls, John.
that young, she is a West End stage veteran. She's the, which was, that wasn't Annie that she did, or was it Annie that she did? I can't remember which one, but
I feel like it was.
yeah, maybe it was Annie she did. Anyway, she's like literally maybe the best young actress that age you could possibly find.
Yeah.
So that's
The
great.
sun came out for her tomorrow.
For those of you who know the lyrics to a certain song from Annie, you'll know.
You know, I own that movie on 4K.
Oh, no, sorry. It wasn't Annie. It was Matilda.
Oh, well.
It was Matilda.
So much for my cool stage
That's
reference.
right. So there she goes. Listen, I got to say, I was at very first almost as skeptical as everybody else about this. Now, I still didn't think it was a bad idea. Harry Potter's an incredibly valuable IP and an incredibly valuable franchise. So I understood, like, it's probably not a bad move to do, but I was a little skeptical of it. But I got to tell you, Rob, once they started announcing all the showrunners that are behind it, and you're talking about the people who have run like the biggest and best shows we've had in years and years and years, it's like, holy crap, they're taking this seriously. And then when they started accumulating like award-winning talent to be in it, hell, listen, I know there's a lot of people who got their feathers ruffled about the dude playing Snape, but I talked about this once before, but here's the problem with everybody who's saying they have a problem with Snape, because it's not book accurate, they would say, because the actor is black, right? And in the books, Snape is white. My point has always been, but nowhere in the books does his ethnicity ever come into the plot. Like his ethnicity is never a plot point in it. It's part of his description. But people say, well, why don't they just stay true to the books? And what I will often say to these guys is, well, time out. I don't remember hearing you screaming and complaining that Alan Rickman was the wrong guy to play Snape. Snape in the first book is 31 years old.
Mhm.
Right.
You know how old Alan Rickman was when they started filming his first Harry Potter movie? He was 54 years old. More than 2 decades. But I didn't see this I don't see these people huge outrage that Alan Rickman was all wrong. All wrong. No, it was different from the book, but it didn't matter because his age really didn't become a major plot point in it, so it was fine. So everybody whining and complaining about this award level winning actor playing this, I'm just going to say, just have the balls to admit you're not upset because it's not completely accurate to the book, because decades too old for the role was also not accurate to the book, but look how that turned out. Anyway, that all being said, as I said, Rob, I started out not quite as skeptical as everybody else. I did think it was a decent idea to try, but I wondered if it could turn out good. But it is HBO, the gold standard of making great television. Yeah. I think these kids look adorable. Like, here's where the rubber meets the road, Rob. It's all going to depend. It is all going to depend on what is the on-screen chemistry like between these 3 kids. Because if that don't work, if we don't buy loving seeing these 3 kids on screen together and how they interact, because to me, as somebody who's not a reader of the Harry Potter books, the thing that got me on is, look how great Emma and Rupert and Daniel are together, and they're dynamic, and they seemed like 3 little kids who were literally best friends in real life, and it drew me in as an audience member. If they don't nail that, this thing's dead on arrival. If they do, they could have something really special here. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see the first picture of this kid. What are you thinking about it right now?
I saw that picture. I showed it to Elizabeth this morning. Look, they spent a year casting this show. They literally went all over the world. And like what James Gunn did with Superman, putting David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan together, it was apparent to him that, okay, this is the team. I don't think there's ever been more important casting in the history of television. than this, as you're pointing out.
I don't think you're wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, this was they're going to do all 7 books, and they're going to make it all work. You know, and each season is a book. This has got to be right. And you know what? That's why the black actor playing Snape, they cast him because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And now forget his color. That guy has to follow in the footsteps of Alan effing Rickman.
By the way, Jason Isaac, who played Malfoy's dad,
Yeah.
Right.
he just came out and said, this guy, he's one of the greatest actors I've ever seen.
Yeah, and so what people don't understand is, look, I go back, and one of my favorite movies of all time and one of my favorite Stephen King short stories was Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption. Well, the red character was not a black dude. And when they cast Morgan Freeman, you know, when Frank Darabont was making that movie, not one person complained. Nobody said, you know, Red in the books, he was an Irishman. And that's why Frank Darabont even left it in the movie. Well, why do they call you Red? Morgan Freeman's like, maybe it's because I'm Irish. I mean, it was hilarious.
Which was a wink to the people who knew the book.
Yeah, I mean, nobody said anything. When Bernie Casey played Felix Leiter in Never Say Never Again in 1983, nobody said anything. Bernie Casey was a great Felix Leiter. And then when Jeffrey Wright took over, nobody cares. And guess what? Nick Fury in the comics was a white dude until the
Originally.
Ultimates.
Which is
And
why David Hasselhoff
played.
was our original Nick Fury on screen.
And when they made the Ultimate Universe, they drew Nick Fury to look like Sam Jackson. So, I mean, nobody cares. If the actor comes on screen and is awesome, that lasts maybe 10 seconds. And people are like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, when you cast somebody great, it does not matter.
By the way, side note, Jonathan was pointing this out to me a little bit earlier. Another casting that's quietly been done is Ollivander, who was played by John Hurt in the original things. They've cast it now, and it's, how do we pronounce, is it Anton or Anton? And I'm not
Anton,
sure.
I think.
Anton Lesser, who was the head of the ISB in Andor. The dude who kills himself at the end.
I mean, again,
great
the
is
greatest
that?
actor. You can't get a better actor. You know, and he was in Game of Thrones too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
he
mean, those
was.
guys, I mean, this thing, I would imagine that we're going to get a tour de force of actors. I mean, and they did all the chemistry reading, all the stuff that they've done. For that alone, you have to sit up and go, whoa, now you have my attention. So I think that we're going to get something. Because you know what? Not only do you have the books, but you have 8 very successful movies as well, that the world, you're fighting against that. And if you don't, like you said, if it's not just the chemistry, you have to nail everybody.
Yeah.
If everybody isn't great, and they cast what they know are the best actors, and that's why that alone makes me want to see this show.
They got some of the best showrunners. They've cast the best actors, and it's HBO. Look, is that a home run automatic guarantee that this is going to be a fantastic show? No, you can never do that. But are the odds pretty good? Yeah, I say when you take all that into consideration, I think they've got the pieces, Rob, for a winner. They've got the pieces of the puzzle for a winner, I think.
Plus, if they're going to do a book a season, all of these actors have way more screen time than our original actors.
Yeah.
So they're going to have, I'm sure you're going to see Harry's home life, more of it than we saw in the original film. And it's these actors have to be able to hold their own on. So I'm excited, dude. I'm in.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about it? We got our first picture of our new Harry, and I gotta say, he looks pretty great. I mean, that doesn't mean he's gonna be great, but the picture's great. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, one of my favorite studios in Hollywood, it's one of the smaller players in the grand stage, but is Lionsgate. I've always liked Lionsgate. They are this smaller, kind of indie feel kind of a studio compared to the bigger guys that has always been this engine that could, and like releasing some big hits and all kind of stuff. They've had some struggles too, but you know, it's behind films like John Wick and many, many others. Well, they recently split their company, divesting their interest in things like stars and whatnot, and the kind of isolating more of the movie division. And some people speculated when that happened that they might have been making that move to make both sides more attractive for merger and acquisition, for M&A, for being sold. Well, a report came out in Hollywood right at the end of the week last week in the Hollywood Reporter that said this: iconic movie production company Legendary is looking at possibly buying Lionsgate. Now, if the name Legendary sounds familiar to you, it's because they've put out some pretty big films. These are the films that they have been either the producers of or the co-producers of. Let's start at the top. Films like the original, like Jurassic World, The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Inception, Man of Steel, The Hangover, Hangover Part 2, 300, Batman Begins, Godzilla, Superman Returns, Interstellar, Kong Skull Island, Clash of the Titans, Mamma Mia, Unbroken, Watchmen, Pacific Rim, Rob.
I know.
The Town, Skyscraper, the greatest Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie of all time. I'm kidding, of course, a little bit. But anyway, this is a company that's had a part in making some of our favorite films. What's interesting, though, is that they always work with partners, and they don't have a distribution arm. You know who does have a bit of a distribution arm? Ooh, Lionsgate.
Yeah.
Lionsgate's got... Now, they don't always do the distribution on all their own movies, but like, for instance, the most recent film they put out, Ballerina, they were the distributor for that. Mm-hmm. So this gives a unique opportunity for somebody like a Legendary, if this were to happen. Because not only do they get now Lionsgate's production, workflow, their whole infrastructure, but it also gives Legendary something they've never had, which is a little bit of their own ability to distribute, which is, again, not something they've had before. So this is interesting. Now, whether it happens or not, I'm not completely sure because, when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, we hear a lot of, stuff possibly happening, and oftentimes it doesn't. But Rob, this comes along. What's your first impression when you hear that Legendary may look at buying Lionsgate? And do you think this would be a good move for them?
I actually do. I'm our friend Cliff Stevenson's wife, Lisa, works at Lionsgate. She spearheaded. They now sell direct to the consumer.
Oh, that's right. She works in their home entertainment
physical media.
division.
Yeah,
Right.
and they've done a great job. They have a new company called Lionsgate Limited. I love everything about it. They let me write essays for their website, which is great. But how cool would it be to see the Lionsgate logo and underneath saying a Legendary studio?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I would love that. But it's like Legendary. Also, one of the things Lionsgate has is the Saw franchise.
That's right. And they got a new Saw movie coming out.
And they did cool things like they went back because of Cliff's son. They went in the last, I think it was the last Saw movie. They went back to the old grinding gear Lionsgate logo.
Right.
Because the Saw movies had those, and he said, "Why don't they put that back?" And that was because of Cliff Stevenson's son. But they can just do cool things. Plus, Legendary, even though they're A-list budgets, Legendary makes a lot of genre movies, like you pointed out. The DC Universe, the Nolan Batman movies, Superman Returns, the Godzilla films, Pacific Rim. Lionsgate is kind of a genre studio.
They are.
They have like the Twilight franchise. They've got Saw. They've got John Wick.
They do some prestige stuff too. But
They do, but they're like the Twilight movie. But Legendary seems to be like, it would be cool. I think Legendary's interests and their back catalog fit in because Lionsgate's always kind of been this smaller upstart studio because they had Trimark's library, and that had a lot of. They're doing some really interesting things. I just like that idea. I think Legendary and Lionsgate would work. Lionsgate, a Legendary studio. I love this idea.
I wonder if they keep Legendary keeps their offices though in Burbank, because that's a great building they're in by the old NBC studios.
Oh, I think they do. I think like Rob was suggesting, like I don't think they just merge it into one company. I think it's Lionsgate, a Legendary studio.
Yeah, it's right down
because that would be just dope.
Because I can still even if they own Lionsgate, I can still see Legendary partnering with other studios to finance and produce other big tent
physical
films.
location. Their Burbank office is literally right down the street from Warner Brothers and Universal. Yeah. So
weird. So I might have told this story. I can't remember exactly, but I've been to Lionsgate's offices several times, but I still my most vivid memory. Unfortunately, whenever I think of Lionsgate now and their offices, I will think this. I was invited to go see a very early screening just for about 20 press people of this. I can't remember the name of the movie. It might have been called The Bank Job or no, not The Bank Job. It was a bank heist movie that Jason Statham starred.
Yeah, no, The Bank Job.
Was it The Bank Job?
That was
okay.
it.
So I went to go see it, and it was all right. It was a pretty good little movie.
I like that movie.
But here's the thing. When the movie ended, or was it called Bank Heist? Anyway, when the movie ended, same thing always happened at these things. All the journos come out of the studio, they're going to the lobby, and the first thing we all do is turn our phones back on.
Right.
And I was talking to a friend of mine that I took to the screening, and when I looked up, I realized all the other journalists
It's definitely the bank job.
were just all staring at their phone in total and utter disbelief. And what's going on? Then I realized I had like 20 messages waiting for me since I turned my phone off. Turn it on. And that moment, standing in Lionsgate's lobby, surrounded by everybody else finding out at the same time, was when I found out that Heath Ledger had died. And I will always remember where I was when that happened. And it unfortunately was connected to Lionsgate. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Lionsgate and Legendary partnership sounds really appealing to me, actually. And it gives at least a little bit of a distribution arm to a company like Legendary, who's produced some of the biggest crowd-pleasing movies we've ever had. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? Peter Jackson was recently the subject of an article in IndieWire that you can see here, talking about how he's currently working on 3 screenplays and insisting that he's not retired yet. But something that came up in it startled me. It's something that I knew in the back recesses of my mind, but I don't really think about it, and it startled me. Peter Jackson has not directed a feature theatrical film in 11 years. Now, he's done the documentary thing and whatever, but he's not done a theatrical feature film since The Hobbit. Now, granted, I think The Hobbit was a really trying experience for him. Because remember, he wasn't supposed to direct The Hobbit. It was supposed to be Guillermo del Toro, but because of all the delays, Guillermo del Toro eventually said, I can't wait any longer. I got to go do these other things I'm committed to. So he left. Studio kind of pressured Peter Jackson to step in and direct them himself. They made the really bad decision from turning it from 2 movies into 3 movies. And there's some behind the scenes stuff that really shows what a nightmare it was trying to make those movies. And listen, the Hobbit films are radically inferior to the original Lord of the Rings films.
Mm-hmm.
I have real problems with the 3rd film, but overall, I don't think the films are that bad, actually. They've got some moments in them that I really love.
They're fun.
But that took a toll on Peter Jackson. Now, some might say, well, wait, didn't he do that like Mortal Engines? No, he wrote and produced it, but he didn't direct it. Actually, the article in IndieWire makes a mistake saying the director of District 9. He did not direct District 9.
How could somebody write that?
I was telling Jonathan this earlier. I can forgive it because he was the main kind of creative force behind getting it made.
Yeah, but
and he was the producer behind it. But that was Neil Blomkamp.
Come on, Neil Blomkamp is his name is stamped and sealed with.
Yeah, and not only that. I mean, they saw what is it? Something in Joburg, the short. That's what it was called, and they saw that Joburg short, and they decided to make it into a movie.
Yep.
And that was all Neil Blomkamp, and he was going to do the Halo movie, and this was a big.
Which Peter Jackson was also spearheading, trying to get him to direct the Halo movie.
Peter Jackson brought Neil Blomkamp out of South African obscurity.
But I think he was trying to get Neil Blomkamp the director's job on Halo prior to getting District 9 done.
Yeah.
And then it was like, see, I still don't think Neil Blomkamp was the right guy to direct Halo. He had never directed a film before. But
although District 9 was dope.
District 9 is great. So that got me thinking about Peter Jackson. Because for a while after Lord of the Rings, whenever any movie would get discussed, I think we were back at AMC still, Jonathan, doing the movie talk days. Whenever any movie was coming up, any potential movie coming up, it was clockwork. All the fans would write and say, Peter Jackson should direct it. Everything was Peter Jackson should direct it. Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Steven Spielberg. Yeah. Once in a while, a Quentin Tarantino. A Christopher Nolan here and there, but it was mostly Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson. So here we are. He's insisting he's not retired. He's insisting he's going to direct again at some point. But it's been 11 years. So my question, as an audience member put to me the other day, is what should he direct next? Because, he's obviously we think of him as Lord of the Rings, and he produced and wrote Mortal Engines. By the way, Mortal Engines was terrible. But he also did like other types of like Lovely Bones, which is
Yeah.
a powerful film, and stuff like that. My thought, at the risk of sounding very fanboyish, for Peter Jackson's return to theatrical release narrative films, I think he should do a genre film. I really do. I would love to see him come back out big and swinging with like not another Lord of the Rings film, which by the way, he is writing and producing
Yeah, the Hunt for
the
Gollum.
Hunt for Gollum film that Andy Serkis is going to direct. So he's totally in that world, but not necessarily a Lord of the Rings film. But I would love to see Peter Jackson come back out, dig his toes into the sand of a big genre thing again, and then produce and make and maybe direct other more prestige kind of films. But I think he should totally swing for the fences with a big non-Lord of the Rings genre kind of piece. I don't know. When you look at this, first of all, are you stunned as I was when I realized, holy crap, it's been 11 years since he's done something? But what do you think would be his best approach to come back into directing?
You know what? I have an answer.
Oh,
I read a script. So William Faulkner, the famous writer, William Faulkner wrote, I believe it won a Pulitzer Prize, a story called A Fable. And it's set in World War I. And Peter Jackson is a World War I fanatic. He's got his own World
sorry,
War.
you might be able to hear. We got some construction going on right outside of our window here.
He has his own World War I Air Force, World War I planes. And A Fable, it is kind of a genre movie. It's kind of a genre movie, but it's based on William Faulkner's Pulitzer Prize winning play. And this guy, John Levin, who he used to be a big muckety-muck at CAA, represents this script, A Fable. And it's an amazing script. And it's funny because I was talking with a friend of mine about this, and we were talking like, oh, would Ridley Scott direct something like this? And I'm like, who should direct this script? Peter effing Jackson. and all of a sudden this thing comes out, and a buddy of mine knows Andy Serkis, and I was like, you should, tell Andy Serkis to tell Peter Jackson to do this movie, because it's a prestige project, but it's got a fantasy bent to it,
Right?
Even though it's set during World War II, and it's based on a Pulitzer Prize winning work by one of the great American writers, William Faulkner. And I don't know if he'll ever do that. I don't even know if audiences would want to see it. But the script is great, and he would be great for it. And he loves World War I, and he's got his own World War I Air Force that you can put in the movie. So
It all works. The pieces are all coming
there's
together.
trench warfare. There's all kinds of stuff, and you could make it the whole thing in New Zealand.
All right. Well, as we've been talking, our audience has, because you know me, I'm thinking of genre piece. Our audience has thrown in a couple of suggestions.
Yep.
Let me run them by you, see what you think of it. Peter Jackson, like Sean Levy, directing a Star Wars film. What would you think of that?
I mean, look, obviously that would be cool, but the thing about Peter Jackson is I would want him to be as passionate, like he was passionate about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do it for a very long time, and he basically took his entire home country of New Zealand and turned it into his backyard studio. If he had a story that he wanted to tell, that he wrote, him and Fran and Philippa came up with some great idea to make a Star Wars movie, I'd say yes. But I wouldn't want him to be a director for hire on a Star Wars movie.
Okay. How about this? Remember, I said genre. So one of the audience members suggested a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Now, I think Peter Jackson, it's a little close to home with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But Peter Jackson doing a Dungeons and Dragons movie would be insane. I just don't think they're going to make another Dungeons and Dragons movie. But I would be personally, I would be totally down for Peter Jackson doing D&D. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, why not? But again, I would want him, like, Dungeons and Dragons is basically based on Tolkien's
Oh, it's
work.
totally based on
I mean,
Tolkien's
it's
work.
so I think it would just be, in a way, kind of one step removed. I mean, in a way, The Hunt for Gollum is a Dungeons and Dragons movie, and they're going to put a lot of original material into that story. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to see him.
Well, wait, before you go on out, let me get through the other
Okay.
names here and get your catch on. Okay, somebody directing, because there's a lot of doubt out there. I still doubt that Andy Muschietti's actually going to direct the Batman Brave and the Bold.
Right.
What about James Gunn giving his buddy Peter Jackson all saying, what do you think about directing a Batman film?
Okay. I would love to see Peter Jackson.
I would
direct a
love to see him direct a Batman film.
Because he would. If you think about Peter Jackson, people forget because he's just the Lord of the Rings guy. But Heavenly Creatures, one of Kate Winslet's breakup,
yeah.
that film is incredible.
Yes,
it has
it is.
incredible fantasy sequences. His X-rated puppet movie, Meet the Feebles, is out of control. If you haven't seen it, it's hard to see that movie, but if you haven't seen it, you're like, oh my God. And then if you look at his movies, Brain Dead, and then also
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste, his first feature. I mean, I'd like to see that sense of humor, you know, his body, nasty, gross. I mean, there's that other side to Peter Jackson. Maybe as he's gotten older, he's too mellow to do that now, but I'd like to see him go for something gonzo and over the top.
All right, there's two more. This one I was not expecting, but I have to admit it raises my eyebrows. What about Peter Jackson? Remember, Staying in the World of Genre. Peter Jackson directing a Transformers film. That, like, it kind of made my brain hit a speed bump when I first read that, but the more I think about it, you take the lore of Transformers and you put it in the hands of a Peter Jackson, that could be really interesting as well. I don't know. How would that rank for you?
Again, you know, if he was passionate about it, yes. But to me, that would smack too much of the studio hiring him to make a Transformers movie. Look, if Peter Jackson said, I've got an idea for a Transformers movie, if I had it for 25 years, I want to do it, I'd say, great. I want to see that.
Right.
But I don't want to see Peter Jackson as a director for hire on someone else's IP.
But what if he had an idea that he was excited?
Well, then,
Just
that's what I said.
I don't think Peter Jackson would go, well, I don't really want to do that movie, but okay, I'll do it. Like, obviously, let's assume whatever movie he does is something he'd be really excited about doing.
Yeah, yes. I mean, if he wanted to do that, sure. I think Peter Jackson would be good to do anything. But I think that I would much rather see another Heavenly Creatures type of a film that I've never seen before. You know, why would you want somebody with Peter Jackson's talent to just be wasted on working on another IP?
To elevate it.
Well, that's true.
Elevate it.
See, the thing about Batman needs a new vision, and if you got it would be great. I mean, I guess I mean, hell, man, I'd love to see Peter Jackson make a Star Trek movie.
Well, that is the next one on the list. Somebody else wrote in Peter Jackson directing a Star Trek
How about
movie.
a Star Trek trilogy?
Or, okay, well, let's start with one.
3 movies.
What would you think about
Start with
Peter
one. 3
Jackson
movies.
doing a Star Trek film?
I'm in. Count me in. And if Fran and Philip and him write it, yes. Star Trek movie. 100%. Count me in.
There were a couple of others. There was one somebody put in that really caught my attention that I loved, and then I forgot what it was, and now I can't find whatever it was. But there was one that was really exciting to me, and now it's gone. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? First of all, did you realize it's been 11 years since Peter Jackson's directed a narrative theatrically released film? It's been a while. What do you think he should do? Now, maybe you think he should come out and do like one of the smaller kind of films that he used to kind of do. Or do you think like me that I think he should come out and swing for the fences with like a big genre thing? If so, what one would you like to see him do? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, the other day we talked about with it now officially being the end of the first half of the year, and we are now officially into the second half of the year. We talked about the best ones so far. You know, I had a bunch of people write in and say to me, well, John, what are now then your most anticipated films for the rest of the year? So I pulled out 10. Now, there's a lot of really interesting looking films. Some might be better than any of the films on my list, but I'm going to be honest and tell you, these are the films that I'm excited about. Now, I'm putting these in no particular order, okay? I'm not putting these in any particular order, other than I'm going to list them off in order of when they're coming out.
You only have 10?
I put 10. Remember, the thing is not just any movie I'm anticipating, but like the most anticipated movies that I have.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's the 10 I got. Starting with a couple that are coming out soon. Liam Neeson's The Naked Gun. Ever since they announced that Liam Neeson was going to be doing this, I was excited about it. I loved the CinemaCon presentation they showed us. Do I think this is going to be one of the best movies of the year? No, but man, it's been a long time since we've had a funny spoof movie, and I think this one's going to do it. I think Liam Neeson is low-key one of the funniest guys on the planet, and I think this is going to be really good, so I'm really looking forward to Naked Gun. Next up, Fantastic Four. Look, was it my most anticipated comic book movie of the year? No, that was clearly Superman. But I am really interested in this movie. And the more clips they're putting out, they've all been better than the trailers. The clips they're putting out are all better than the
Yeah,
trailers. And the clips have really started to be getting me excited. So Fantastic Four is one of my 10 most anticipated. Also, just because I damn loved the original, Nobody 2. Nobody was a bit of a John Wick ripoff. Absolutely. Made by some of the same people, as a matter of fact. Doesn't matter. The end result, an amazing experience in the theaters that I absolutely had a great time with. And I've been waiting. I never expected them to make a sequel because the first one didn't make that much money. But here we are. I'm excited about this. So Nobody 2 is next up on my most anticipated list. All right. Next up, we've got a movie I wasn't even familiar with until we went to CinemaCon. Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, coming out in September. That Christian Bale looks insane in. This is a Frankenstein movie, kind of movie, like Bride of Frankenstein is the outplay of it. And this looks fantastic. I cannot wait to see this movie. Again, Maggie Gyllenhaal is directing it. And it just looks bonkers, man. Caught me so by surprise. I loved what we saw. So that's coming out in September. All right, we move on to October. While I am not a big fan of the last one they did, I think this one looks like it could be a lot of fun. Tron Ares comes out in October. And again, they showed us the first bit of it when we were at CinemaCon, and not what I was expecting at all. Tron coming into the real world, and what would that look like? And from the moment the light cycle gave off the beam and it splits the car in half, I'm like, okay. And then you see the whatever the name of that thing is.
The
monolith?
recognizer.
Yeah, recognizer.
The recognizer comes sailing out from behind an actual building. I'm like, okay, this looks balls out, man. This looks really cool. Now, maybe it'll be a disaster, but it looks pretty good. So I'm pretty excited for Tron Ares coming out in October. All right. Coming out in November. One that I kind of went, why are they remaking that? But it's been growing on me. And then they showed us a bunch of stuff at CinemaCon. Running Man. Running Man with Glenn Powell looks... I couldn't believe the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon. I was like, this looks insane. Now, it looks nothing like the original movie because it's not trying to look like the original movie, because the original movie didn't look much like the actual original book, the original story. And this one, Edgar Wright, who's directing it, he's like, no, we're not remaking the movie. We are doing a movie based on the book that's going to be a lot closer to the book than the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic. And I loved what I saw. I really, really did. So for me, Running Man coming out in November. Also coming out in November, another Frankenstein movie. This one simply called Frankenstein.
Which looks incredible.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein with Moon Knight, with Oscar Isaac in it. And I must concur. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you.
The new trailer dropped this weekend.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to be honest with you. The last Guillermo del Toro straight-to-streaming movie that everybody loved, I think is radically overrated, which was his Pinocchio movie. I don't think Pinocchio was bad. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's tremendously overrated at the same time. I think it's pretty good, but I don't think it's great. This looks crazy good. We got 2 Frankenstein movies coming out, and they both look great. So I cannot wait to see this. That's coming out in November. All right, 3 left. Can't believe I'm going to say it,
I know what you're going to say.
but I like the first one way more than I thought I would. Wicked 2. Wicked for good. Listen, I trust John M. Chu. They got a great cast. I thought they'd make a pretty good Wicked movie. But I enjoyed the first Wicked movie way more than I thought I would. Had a huge smile on my face, humming the songs, all that kind of stuff. And this second one looks great too. So Wicked 2 also coming out in November. All right, then we got 2 movies coming out in December that make up my 9 and 10. Remember, these are in no particular order other than chronological. And it's one of my most anticipated films of the year. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out story. Inspector Blanc returns, coming out in December. I love both of the first two Knives Out movies, Knives Out and Glass Onion. I love both of those movies. I am a sucker for mystery movies. I'm a sucker for crime solving, all that kind of stuff. Daniel Craig as Inspector Benoit Blanc has been phenomenal. I can't wait to see this. I hope they keep making these movies for the next 15, 20 years. I love this. I can't wait to see it. So Wake Up Dead Man coming out in December. And then last but not least, oh, and I'll say it, even though I said this was in no particular order, if I'm going to be honest, if all these movies were in theater right now up the street, but I could only pick one to go see, this is probably the one I'd go to see first. So I'm going to call it my most anticipated for the rest of the year. Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Mordor Navi.
Mordor Navi,
Stake, Iowa.
which we suspect you guys will get your first look at when Fantastic Four comes out. I think they're probably going to drop the trailer with that. But they showed us a few minutes of it at CinemaCon back in April, and our jaws were on the floor. It just looks spectacular.
Yeah.
And again, Mordor Navi.
They're
is
evil Navi that lived out of the crack of doom.
Volcano who's not
Navi.
excited about watching? Again, I'm not necessarily saying I think it's going to be the best movie of the rest of the year, but if I'm going to be honest, if all 10 were playing next door to me right now and I could pick one to go watch, I'd probably sneak in and watch Avatar. So again, my 10 in no particular order most anticipated movies for the second half of 2025 are Naked Gun, Fantastic Four, Nobody 2, The Bride, Tron Ares, The Running Man, Frankenstein, Wicked 2, Wake Up Dead Man, and Avatar, Fire and Ash. By the way, Reggie Phoenix put in another one that I really almost put on my list. The Roses with Benedict Cumberbatch. The stuff they showed us at CinemaCon, I was laughing my ass off. That it looks really great. So The Roses is another one that should be on there. Anyway, Rob, we got a bunch of interesting looking films coming out in the second part of the year. And by the way, there's also that Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Oh, wait, that's all.
Okay, sorry. Let me throw over to you. What are
first of
your
all,
most anticipated
I
ones?
want to say everything you said, I very much anticipate. Every one of those things is on my list, but my list is like, I didn't realize it was only supposed to be 10. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you movies that you didn't say that are on my list.
Good idea.
Eddington, Ari Aster's new movie.
Another Pedro Pascal
Pedro
star.
Pascal and Joaquin Phoenix, their follow-up to Beau is Afraid. I've heard it's really good. I talked to my friend Rob G yesterday who's seen it. He said maybe not so much the ending, but he thought the movie was very much worth seeing.
Because I didn't really like Beau is Afraid, to be honest with you.
I know.
But this looks better.
Weapons. Zach Kreger's.
Oh, you know what? That should have been on my list.
Zach Kreger's follow-up to Barbarian.
Oh, I forgot about Weapons. That should have been on my list.
Julia Garner, she's got the 1-2 punch silver. She's Shala Ball in Fantastic Four, and she's the star, one of the stars of Weapons. Highest to Lowest. Spike Lee's Denzel Washington movie that is a riff on Kurosawa's High and Low, which is High and Low is also based on the crime novelist, did the 87th Precinct novels, and I can't wait to see that. You mentioned The Running Man. That is the second of the Stephen King's Bachman books. He wrote under the pseudonym Richard Bachman.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
The first is The Long Walk.
I cannot wait for The Long Walk.
I cannot wait. I've literally wanted to see that movie for 45 years since I read the book in 1980 when I was in the 7th grade.
And how good does Mark Hamill look in that?
Incredible.
He looks amazing in this.
I can't wait to see that. Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. Can't wait.
The new trailer is better than the first
I
trailer.
agree.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I didn't really like the first trailer, to be honest, but the new one is better. Is much better.
The new one is, yes. Something we saw that was totally not on my radar that we saw at CinemaCon, Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is like, this couple walks through the gates of Narnia and winds up in some romantic, I don't know what it was. But, hey.
I couldn't really tell what it was either.
It looked good to me. So I want to see that.
Did they cross the bridge of Terabithia?
They could very well have. Predator Badlands.
Yes.
I want to see that. Predator Badlands. It's awesome. You mentioned everything. Now I'm going to say this because I like the first two. Now I'm not saying this is high art. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you
Really?
see-
Really?
Now you see, I'm a sucker for this franchise. I like the cast. I mean, Isla Fisher's single now, right? I really I love the Now You See Me movies. They're not great. They're not high art. And then of course you picked the last three, but there's one movie, and I don't know if it's still coming out or if it was delayed. But Anton Fuqua's Michael Jackson biopic.
That was delayed, I believe.
Was it delayed out of this year?
I think it was delayed out of the year.
I didn't know. But so that was my list.
Because that would be on my list too, yeah.
Yeah, so Eddington, Weapons, Highest to Lowest, The Long Walk, One Battle After Another, Big Bold Beautiful Journey, Predator Badlands, and everything else that you said. But there's one movie that I saw a trailer for last night that's produced by Benson and Moorhead, who made like The Endless, who made Synchronic, who made this low budget genre movies that I love. They've produced a movie called Descendant that comes out on August 15th. Now, I don't know if it's just digital, but it's one of these low budget movies. A man sees lights in the sky and his life goes to hell after that. And I watch a trailer. I'm such a sucker for these micro budget genre movies. And I'm like, I can't wait for that. Because even when Benson and Moorhead, the Synchronic was not as good as, say, Endless. And Endless was a stealth sequel to Resolution, their first movie that I didn't even know. They've gone on to direct Moon Knight episodes. They're directing for Marvel TV now. I love these two guys. I don't know them. I've never met them or anything like that. But they produced this movie. You have my attention. So,
By the way,
Something in the Dirt was, I think, their last film.
you listed some great ones. A couple of others that we should probably at least mention. Black Phone 2,
Oh, yeah, that was on my list.
which
forgot to
I
mention
love
that.
the original one.
Yeah.
The one Dave Franco does with his wife, Alison Brie.
Oh, Together. Yeah.
That
I want to
looks-
see that. Yeah.
That looks really good. So, I mean, we got a number of films.
Yeah, there's a
Coming
lot
out
of
the
good-
second half of the
lot
year.
of variety.
Yeah, and a lot of variety.
A lot of variety. Some sequels, but first adaptations of things. I mean, a lot of original films. A lot of auteur filmmakers delivering the goods. I mean, like you said, I don't think people understand our desire to see The Bride because they haven't seen what we saw.
Oh, wait till you guys see.
They haven't released that trailer, have they?
I don't know. Well, they did. Remember, they showed us more than just a trailer at CinemaCon, so I don't know if
That
they've
shit
released
was
it.
bonkers.
It looks so good.
I'm like, wow, Maggie Gyllenhaal, I want to get inside your head. Wow.
Glad you said inside your head. Zelda Master said Caught Stealing. That was one that was
Oh, that
also I felt
that's
was
Caught Stealing. Homeboy's movie.
The Elvis.
Pie. Yeah, but who made Pie?
Yeah,
Darren
yeah.
Aronofsky.
What's the name of the kid from Dune 2? He was nominated for Best
Austin
Picture.
Butler.
Austin Butler.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's got
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith,
Matt
Doctor
Smith.
Who's in that. It's got Liev Schreiber and
D'Onofrio.
and Kingpin playing two Jewish hitmen.
That looks great.
Hasidic hitmen. It looks great, based on a novel, and the
Five Nights at
novelist,
Freddy's 2.
the novelist
yeah.
wrote the script.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about? I mean, I think the list run out for the second half of the year is looking pretty good. There's a lot of exciting looking movies. What would you say are your most anticipated films for the rest of 2025? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, Superman has come out. It's in theaters this weekend. Everybody had a chance to see it. And the box office totals are now in. And they're right where I said they would be. I said it would come in around 120 million, somewhere between 110, 130. And as of right now, the updated number, although this article in Variety is saying Superman soars to $122 million, third biggest opening of the weekend. They've adjusted that now. The actual numbers come in as 125. $125 million. Now, I thought that we would take a few moments here and put that number into some perspective about how that measures up to all other films that have come out the last few years. How does it compare to James Gunn's Personalist? How does it compare to other comic book fare we've had the last couple of years? So let's take a look at this. So with Superman, now I've got 122. They have just updated the number to 125, but we're going to use the number 122 for now. In James Gunn's career, it now makes it the second biggest opening of his career. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, of course, the follow-up to his massively successful Guardians of the Galaxy, is still the biggest one at 146. Superman at 122. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at 118. Guardians of the Galaxy made 94 million opening weekend, and then his Suicide Squad, which opened during COVID and when Warner Brothers put it on streaming the same day it was in theaters, and yet it still managed to make $26.2 million at the box office. Well, how does it compare to all films that have come out in the last couple of years? Well, if we look at the list of all the opening weekends from all films since the end of 2023, Superman is the sixth biggest opening weekend since the end of 2023. Deadpool and Wolverine is the biggest at $211 million. Minecraft is second at 162.7. Inside Out 2 is third at 154.2 million. Lilo and Stitch, which by the way is going to cross the $1 billion mark either today or tomorrow to become the first $1 billion film of the year. So congratulations to Lilo and Stitch for that. But Lilo and Stitch, the fourth biggest since the end of 2023 at $146 million. Moana 2 comes in the number 5 spot at $139.7 million. And then Superman, the sixth biggest opening weekend since the end of 2023 at 122. Then you had Wicked, which I had at 12.5. That should say 120.5. And then Beetlejuice 2 coming in there at the end at $111 million. All right. Well, let's get more specific. How does this opening of Superman compare to other films in the genre? And let's go back another year. How does this Superman film compare to all comic book movies opening weekends since the end of 2022? Well, it does pretty well. If you look at the biggest comic book opening since the end of 22, Superman is second. The only comic book film since the end of 2022 that has had a bigger opening weekend than Superman is Deadpool and Wolverine, which again, at $211 million. So that at $125 million, which is the new number, that beats out all the other comic book movies that come out since 2022. Across the Spider-Verse opened to 120. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 opened to 118. Ant-Man 3 opened to 106. Captain America 4 opened to 88.8. Thunderbolts opened to 76. The Flash opened to 55. Venom 3 opened to 51. The Marvels opened to 46. The Joker opened to 42. Then we had some other films, Craven, Madam Web, things like that, or Marvels didn't even, or Shazam didn't even register. So we don't even have those on the list here. But if you look at the genre itself, since the end of 2020, it's the second biggest. Now look, I have said over a year that this Superman movie had too much baggage. I've warned everybody all year. Said don't expect sky high, shattering all box office records, because I've told people for a year over and over and over again, this is a movie that is coming along with a lot of baggage. It is yet another iteration of Superman, because we've had like 5 of them in the last handful of years. It is the first of a brand new cinematic universe trying to rise out of the ashes of the absolutely decimated and ruination of the DCEU that the entire movie-going audience had abandoned and stopped going to. Like their last 5 movies they released, it opened to like 100 something million, 200 million, 200 million. One, I think, opened to over 400 million, or had a grand total box office 400 million. And I kept telling everybody, Superman's going to do well. But the job of this Superman movie is not to break box office records. The job of this, because it can't, the job of this movie is to rehabilitate the image of DC and get people back on board with Superman and DC as a whole. That is mission accomplished. They've done that. I mean, it's at last I checked, it's still holding a 93% audience rating, still holding an 82% critical rating, like some of the best numbers DC's had in forever. So it's done that. And I got to say, even though last week or 2 weeks ago, I was saying it's going to come in around the 120 million mark, That's still a lot more than I thought it would have done 6 months ago. Like if you had gone back in time 6 months to John Campea, I would have told you Superman and the people at Warner Brothers should be popping bottles if they can hit the $100 million mark. But, obviously we had to adjust those numbers up. I never thought, like, even when we were talking about the projections coming from Box Office Pro saying 130, 160, I'm like, these are great numbers. What did I say in the show? I said, I don't see it doing that. I mean, it's great if it does, but I don't see it doing that. But still, Rob, I think when you step back and you look at the result it had in context, considering fewer people are going to the movies today, again, like the 6th biggest opening of any film since the end of 2023, the only comic book movie since the end of 2022 that had a bigger opening weekend than this was Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a part of an already existing beloved franchise. It beat out Guardians 3, which is the third part of a beloved franchise. It beat out Ant-Man 3. It beat out other Marvel films like
Spider-Man No Way Home, you said.
No Way Home is that's before 2023, isn't it? Isn't that 2022?
Oh, it might have been. I thought it was on your list.
No, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse
That's
on the list, which made 120. But it beat out other big Marvel films, Captain America 4, Thunderbolts. Anyway.
Yeah.
I have been telling people for all year, if this thing can make over $100 million, that's insanely good, considering all the baggage that comes along with it. And I didn't even expect it. So I think when you look at it in context, this is a pretty, for another rendition of Superman, of an entire brand that the entire box office, the entire movie-going audience had abandoned and hated, whose reputation was in the gutter, for this thing to come out and be the second biggest since 2022 in the entire genre, I think is pretty damn good. But anyway, Rob, you saw the numbers. You saw the movie a couple of times. What do you think about its box office result of 125 million? And what kind of legs do you have? Because here's the thing. One of the big struggles it's going to have is internationally. Superman is not as big of an icon internationally. It's very recognizable, but not as popular internationally as it is here. So anyway, what do you think about these results?
Well, first of all, I'd said 130, so it's right. I think you said
right
120
close.
or something. We were right in the middle. I do think that I think slow and steady wins the race here. I think that this coming week and next weekend are going to be really telling in terms of where we're going to be at box office wise, not just the international box office, which is going to be slower for this character, but midweek box office, because is the family audience going to continue going? School's out. And I think this has a lot of runway till we have Fantastic Four. And I think it can do some really big business during the week that might surprise people. There's a lot of naysayers already on the internet comparing and contrasting this opening to Zack Snyder's Superman, which was a different time. And then in kind of back then, it was doing the same thing. You had Christopher Nolan teaming up with David Goyer again, teaming up with Zack Snyder to do the Superman movie. And adjusted for inflation, it was a different time. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Superman movie performs over the next month. Because if the family audience keeps going, and I suspect they will, because kids seem to really love this movie, despite the fact that there's some pretty rough things in it. If the family audience keeps going, you'd be surprised, because that's not just one person going, that's families of 4 going to see this movie. And I saw the delight on kids' faces in the theater that I was in myself when I saw it for the second time. So I think this movie could have quite the hold. And not necessarily dip its second weekend. I think it's going to have quite a hold in weekend 2, and I think during the week it's going to make a lot of money too. So I think they're off to a really good start.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of repeat viewing for this. I mean, it's, again, 93% critic score, or a 93% audience score, A- cinema score, by the way. The cinema score came out with an A-, which beats out a lot of these other films. An 82% critic rating. I think it's going to have a lot of repeat business. The one thing going for it right now is that, what do we have opening this weekend? Smurfs? And what else? Like, what's the other big movie opening this, or big, but there's another wide
Does
release.
Eddington open this weekend? I don't know if it does or not.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be worried about Eddington.
I know you did last summer.
That's right. That's right. I know what you did last summer. And all due respect to Freddie Prinze Jr., who I adore. I adore Freddie. But no one's going to go see I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's not going to be the next Final Destination, I don't think. So I think it's going to have pretty good legs for the second weekend. Again, a hell of a lot of people went to go see the first weekend. So It might have a little bit larger than normal second weekend drop off, but I think it's going to be pretty good. Again, the big problem for its overall worldwide box office is going to be the international market.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that does. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, in terms of its genre, the only movie since 2022 that's done better of an opening weekend than Superman, none of the other Marvel films, just Deadpool and Wolverine. That's it. Anyway, what do you think about its overall performance? How good of a second weekend do you think it's had? Do you think, like I do, that it's going to struggle a little bit overseas? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, of course, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, first, we're going to bid good day to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, sir.
That was fun. What a good show. Now I'm excited for 2025, the latter half. I mean,
latter
there's
half,
so many good movies coming out.
So many good things
I thought
coming
it was like
out.
4 or 5, but looking at least 25.
Starting with Smurfs this weekend. I've never expected a movie to be worse than this
Smurf
Smurfs
that movie, man.
Smurf that movie. All right, guys, let's now get over and start taking your comments and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Wakanda Sometimes.
Wakanda Sometimes.
Just saw F1 in IMAX. I loved it. The big screen really added to the intensity of the movie. The driving scenes reminded me when I drove my buddy's Dodge Viper at a 145. Question, what's the fastest y'all have ever driven a car? Keep up the great show.
Wow, the fastest I've ever driven in a car. I mean, I'm not a speeder. I like, I'm boring that way, but I think the fastest I ever drove in my car, I remember when I first got my Tesla. Because here's the thing about, like, love or hate it and all that kind of stuff. The thing about the Tesla and most electric cars is if you've never ridden in one, the acceleration is like nothing you've ever felt before, other than maybe being on a theme park ride. Like that, when you hit the floor on a Tesla, particularly, like I've got the Model 3 with performance and everything in it. When you hammer the throttle, the gas, if you will, on the Tesla, especially the Plaid, the Tesla Plaid. But when you hit that accelerator, your back vroom, like presses into the back of the seat and you fly, man. You fly. So, I mean, I think that's like the fastest. I can't remember how high I took it up, but that's probably the fastest I've ever gone in a car. But anyway, F1 will make you want to speed. You watch F1, you'll come out, you're going to want to get behind the wheel of your car and start going. All right, what's next?
Swanigan. Hey, John, thanks for reading my comment. I want to make a correction. The cinema name here is SC, or in South Carolina, is Southeast Cinemas, not Southeastern. Have to give credit to them adequately. Also, I own an RV and wish you safe travels.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and maybe one of these days I can visit Southeast Cinemas in what was it, South Carolina? In South Carolina. I'm sure that'll be one of the stops we do on the tour, is getting out to South Carolina. We're going to do the whole country. We're going to do the whole country, man. I can't wait to do that. All right, what's next?
Dildar, the Glorious. It's funny that actor Dean Cain is angry about Superman being an immigrant, even though he played Superman and his show dealt with him being an immigrant in an episode. Did he forget?
Well, I think he's just being an ass. Dean Cain's a freaking world-class moron. He's an idiot. He's a has-been. I mean, hey, at least it's better to be a has-been than a never was. But yeah, I can't remember which outlet did it, but one of the big trades did this article on, because I admit I maybe have seen 2 episodes of, what was it called? His Superman show?
Wasn't it?
Superman and Lois, or
I think so.
I can't remember what the name of his show was, but I remember one of the big trades did an article, I think just yesterday or today.
Lois and Clark.
Yesterday or today. That's like, so Dean Cain is accusing the new Superman movie of being woke, which, by the way, the Hollywood Reporter put it best. Superman isn't woke. He's just a good person. But I guess today to some people that equals woke.
Well, Lois and Clark would be considered woke today because Lois is named first.
Yeah, Lois has got the name first. But the article in this trade was pointing out, let's revisit some of the episodes of Lois and Clark, shall we? That go into a lot of the stuff. So it's like, Dean Cain, what are you talking about? Like, look at your own show. Anyway, yeah, it was so ridiculous. But again, at the end of the day, the reason I didn't make a story out of it on the John Campea Show, the reason we didn't cover it, because somebody said, why are you talking about the Dean Cain thing? It's like, Dean Cain's irrelevant. Why would I want to do why would I care about what some random dude thinks about a random thing? That's not a news story. So that's why we never covered it. All right, what's next?
Christian says, firstly, congratulations to your new van. It looks awesome. I heard you saying you'll be doing the show for another year. I'm hoping you can stick around until after Secret Wars. I love that Rob is back. And by the way, where is Ray and Chris? Love the show.
God, we've covered this many times. So Chris has decided. I mean, listen, Chris had a long commute to come into the studio.
Well, it's an hour and 21 way.
It
2
was
hours
to be here literally for an hour.
2 hours and 40 minutes both ways.
Yeah,
round trip.
I mean, she's been a real trooper about doing that, but she doesn't want to do that drive anymore. And I get it, especially for like what we pay to do a 1 hour show on the show, which is totally understand. Now you are going to see Chris again because we are going to start experimenting more with, you've seen us do it with Rob once or twice, but you're going to see us experimenting more with, I don't like to have remote guests when I can avoid it. The shows just are better when everybody's in the same room.
Because everyone's present. It's a different energy.
Yeah, you have a different energy. You're able to connect off each other. But we are going to start experimenting a little bit moving forward with doing some remote. So I don't know how regularly, but you will see Chris again. It's just she'll be doing it from home and remotely. And Ray continues to work for our show. He's doing all the segment thumbnails and a lot of the metadata work and stuff like that. He's just not on camera anymore. So he's still with us. All right, what's next?
We got Spencer. Thanks for the show. I'm in my final year of screen arts degree. Currently illustrating my
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, currently illustrating my first animated film project inspired by Wild Robot and Flow. Your shows kept me going through these many hours of animation. Appreciate all you do.
Oh, thank you so much, man. And I've got a world of respect, dude, for animators, artists. The one thing, I mean, there's a lot of things I can't do, but there's nothing that I really wish I could do desperately that I couldn't do, but even though there's a world of things I can't do. The one thing that I passionately and deeply wish I could do, and I have sub-zero skill or talent in it, is drawing. I would do nothing all day but draw. I would just draw all day. That's all I would do if I could draw. If I could draw, that's it. You never see me again because I'd just be drawing all the time. I have, dudes, listen, you think I'm exaggerating? You're sitting there. I know it now. You're sitting at home thinking, Campea must be exaggerating. Everybody can draw a little. Oh my God, guys. If I try to draw something and then you looked at it, you would liken it unto a second grade child coming home and showing mommy the picture they'll put on the fridge, except that kid's picture would be better than mine. So a world of respect for what you do, man. And that's awesome. And congratulations on heading into your final year. All right, what's next?
We got Bright. Just found out John Hillcoat has begun pre-production of a Blood Meridian adaptation. Probably my favorite book ever, but I'm nervous about a live action adaptation. He previously did The Proposition.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah. The Road and Lawless. Any thoughts? I mean, The Road was pretty crazy too.
Well, since I have no idea what this book is, I have no thoughts. I've never even heard of the book.
I like what he does.
He does good work. So anything he's doing, okay, that could be interesting. But since I don't know anything about the book, I unfortunately can't comment on it. All right, what's next?
Tony with a $20 tip. There's a rumor going around that Ryan Coogler could be joining the DCU. If he does end up directing a movie, who would you want to see him take on? And how should Michael B. Jordan be involved?
Well, I mean, look, there's a rumor about every notable director.
Yeah.
Directing either a Marvel or a DC film. I mean, but okay, so theoretically speaking, Ryan Coogler, who's one of the best directors of his generation. And again, I think Sinners is still the #1 best film of the year. I still think that's the best film of the year. So James Gunn gives me a call And after apologizing for stealing my phrase, he says, okay, so Ryan Coogler and I had lunch, and he wants to come do a DC movie. So, but we couldn't figure out which one. Which one do you think, Campea, Ryan Coogler should do? Huh. That's a really good question. And understanding that he loves working with Michael B. Jordan, so it'd have to be one that Michael B. Jordan could be in. I mean, obviously the first obvious one that comes to mind is Static Shock, but I mean, Michael B. Jordan's too old to play Static Shock. But if I took that out of the equation, honestly, I would really like to see Ryan Coogler do a Flash movie. Like especially if you touch on the elements that are part of the Flashpoint main storyline, which was touched on in this Flash movie and in the TV show and stuff like that. You're talking about like this character with this massive tragedy and all that kind of stuff. Ryan Coogler, I think, could do something really special with that. Now, where does Michael B. Jordan fit into that? I'm not sure. Maybe make him the villain or whatever, but I would like to see him do. Yeah, I think I would like to see him handle that just because of the tragedy background area. I think he could do something special with that.
So it's a Martian Manhunter. That could be interesting.
Except I have zero. I'll tell you this. Everybody hates it when I say it. Martian Manhunter is the stupidest DC character. I don't care what anybody says. I know he's beloved. I know everybody loves Martian Manhunter, but I'm sorry. I have no. You know what I'm like? You ever watch Parks and Rec? You know, you ever watch Parks and Rec? Yeah. Okay, so Leslie's husband. I forget the guy Adam Scott plays.
Right.
But all the time, Little Sebastian. Everybody loves Little Sebastian, but whenever you go to Adam Scott's character,
what's the big deal about Little Sebastian?
It's a little horse. What's the big deal? But everybody, that's how I feel about Martian Manhunter. It's a stupid character. I have no interest in that character whatsoever. But I look around and like everybody loves Martian Manhunter.
Ben Wyatt was his character.
Ben Wyatt was it. So like everybody, oh, Little Sebastian, he's the greatest. Little Sebastian. He goes, I don't get it. Why? It's just a little horse. What's the deal? That's how I feel about Martian Manhunter. So yes, I wouldn't care about a Martian Manhunter thing. All right, what's next?
Man, crazy. Half our live audience just left. I don't know why.
I know. How dare you, sir?
Gavin says, hey, John, saw Superman the other day, and man, it did not disappoint. James Gunn did a fantastic job, especially with the characters and storytelling. I felt like, and if this is what Gunn brings to the table, I'll be a happy boy.
Yeah, again, James Gunn has... Look, James Gunn will have a bad day at the office. Even Spielberg did. But I'm just saying, as of right now, James Gunn has never made a movie that I didn't at least like. Every movie he's made, I've liked. Whether you're talking about Super, you're talking about Slither, obviously Guardians. You're talking about like Peacemaker, which I absolutely loved. I loved his Suicide Squad. Now he's done Superman. I just that's why I got so excited when they announced that he was going to be the chairman and CEO, co-CEO with Peter Safran of DC. It's because this guy just has an understanding of comics and the lore and character, and I just love the guy. Just love him. All right, what's next?
Baldur's Great. Superman is like a Justice League Unlimited episode. So many characters, but you understand not everyone will shine in this episode due to volume, and just anticipate the next episode in which they will get more focus. Viewed like that, I adore this movie.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Whenever in the earlier days, like once it all got announced about who's in Superman and the movie was coming, we got our first few trailers, a lot of people say, oh, the movie's so overcrowded. There is no more characters in this movie than are in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
The only difference is you recognize the name of the characters. That's it. Every movie, like go to IMDb, open almost any movie. Look how long the cast list is. It's just that you don't recognize all the names. So my whole thing was Superman is not overcrowded with characters.
It never felt that way.
It's just that they just happen to be characters you know. And because you know the character, well, I know Hawkgirl, so therefore Hawkgirl should have 20 minutes of screen time. No, this isn't her movie. She's going to play a side character like every movie has side characters. And I thought it played great. I'll tell you this, though. One of the repercussions of Superman is that now I am dying to see Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner more.
Oh gosh, yes.
And now that he's confirmed he is in Lanterns, I cannot wait to see him in Lanterns. I cannot wait to see more of this Hawkgirl. I especially can't wait to see more of Mr. Terrific. So yeah, it just gave us little things that we can look forward to moving forward.
Yeah, I just didn't. When you put the movie in context, well, it explains, and those spoilers, just that the opening explains this, that metahumans have been around for a long time. So you can't, if that's the world he's setting up, then those characters have to be in the world. That otherwise, it's like, where's everyone else? So,
by the way, I think it was Marcus Y in the live chat brought this up, and like, okay, you know what I don't hear anybody saying? Oh man, Odyssey's way overcrowded. I'm not hearing anybody saying that. I'm looking at a cast list right now. I'll say, let me bring it up on the screen. Look at the size of this cast list. Charlize Theron, Anne Hathaway, John Bernthal, Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Logan Marshall Green, Robert Pattinson, Mia Goth, Zendaya, Elliot Page, John Leguizamo, Samantha Morton, Ryan Hurst. I love Ryan Hurst. Lupita Nyong'o, Jon Stewart. Look at this. But no, I don't hear anybody going, man, that Odyssey, it's got too many characters.
because no one knows who those characters are.
That's the point. You don't know who they are, so you just, but you go
because-
to any movie, it's going to have this huge cast list.
And because you know you're familiar with these characters, what often happens is everyone thinks, well, is every scene going to be the end of Endgame where it's assemble and they're all there and it's just like every scene's crowded? No, they all were just served their purpose. They weren't in every scene. It wasn't overcrowded.
All right, what's next?
Mexico Valley's Jose. Hola amigos, Superman. I love the accent. Put on his absolute goodness. Though, in my opinion, it's a treat that ends up being inconsequential to the story, playing more as a joke rather than his ultimate power. I hope I dig it better on my second run. Oh, this is one of two. Also, love colorful and happy, but all actions and plot are absurd. Much overly childish logic for my taste. And this tone, I think, adds up to the first idea, diminishes the importance of the core message of the film of being kind above everything.
Well, movies are subjective and they hit us all in different ways, but my experience was very different from yours. I didn't find anything about the plot childish. I didn't find anything about that. Again, I'm not discrediting your experience with it. Movies are art. Art is subjective, and art hits us in different ways, and it hit you in a different way than it hit me, and that's fine. I just disagree with everything you said.
His absolute goodness was the reason why he inspired, I can only say so much, but he inspired people in the film to do things that without his absolute goodness would never have happened.
Yeah. But that's your experience and that's what it was. And I'm sure there are movies that you really like that I probably didn't. And that's the beautiful thing about being a film fan. All right, what's next?
All right, we follow up here. Message so much needed. Oh, I think this was like a part 3, but I didn't say. Message so much needed today, which I fear ends up not being taken seriously. Lost in this isn't real at all tone. Well, 2000 to 2020 Marvel is still second to none, and it's nailing of the perfect blend of ground and fantasy. Miss it. You're the best, guys. Well, you don't have to miss it.
But like that era, by the way, I agree with you about that era
Still
of Marvel,
around.
but there are a lot of people who hate Marvel because they completely disagree with me that Marvel did this great, but there are a lot of people out there that thought that era of Marvel was terrible. I don't. I mean, I'm with you on that.
I loved it.
But
for the most
I mean,
part.
again, that's the thing. So I don't think anything about, and I think a 93% audience rating. And by the way, the critic rating has gone up now. So my 82 is now wrong. I predicted 82. I've had a couple of days of being able to tell everybody I was right, 82, but I think I've heard that the critic rating has now gone up to 83. But regardless, I think it did work and come through for most people. All right, what's next?
All right, we got one of two from Anonymous. Here's my pitch for a John Campea Show movie. One fateful day when the evil Adam Aaron and his fateful femme fatale Nicole Kidman want to take over the world in 30 minutes theater ads. John and his friends must go on a quest to Mordor in order to save the planet of Arrakis. Along the way, they recruit Luke Skywalker, Jennifer Garner, Henry Cavill's Superman, Twilight Boa, and Philippe the Dancing Microphone. That's about the only thing we wouldn't get sued for. The film will be half action, half something, and Sean Chandler will appear in a post-credit scene.
Yeah, the vile evil. I have to travel to Kansas because I've been to Mordor many times. I went AMC would often fly me out to Kansas to their headquarters. They have by the way, AMC has like one of the coolest corporate headquarters. Like, it's really great. I loved it. It's open and spacious, and it kind of nurtures creativity. It's listen, all the negative stuff I say about AMC, but man, their headquarters is really cool. I used to love it when they'd fly me out there to go there. But yes, I'd have to quest to Kansas to destroy the one ring that keeps Adam Aaron tethered to this mortal plane or something like that, and send him back to the dark realm from whence he came. All right, what's next?
His soul is trapped in the Nicole Kidman ad. Callum says, "Hey John,
It's just Horcrux."
Yeah. Hey John, I just finished Cheers for the first time. Even though some jokes didn't age well, I overall loved the show. My favorite characters were Norm, Woody, and Frasier. Do you have a favorite character?"
Man, when I was younger, I used to watch. That was like
Cheers.
Required Thursday night watching was Cheers.
Yeah.
I remember like me and some friends would get together and we would watch Simpsons, because I think at that point it was coming out on Thursdays. We'd watch Simpsons, Cheers, and I think Wings
Oh yeah, I loved Wings.
with Thomas Hayden
Yeah,
Church
mhm.
and what's the name of the guy who just did Splinter recently? Tony Shalhoub.
Right.
Tony Shalhoub was in that. And that was like required. I used to love. Now I fell off Cheers after the Shelley Long era. I tried it for a while with the who was it that plays Shelley Long again? And
Oh my God.
yeah, it starts. It's a
Kirstie
K.
Alley.
Kirstie Alley, right? I kind of fell off it during that era a bit, but I mean, Sam was my favorite character. I mean, he was the main guy, but Sam, Woody, Coach, Norm and Cliff. I mean, they were all great. It's hard for me to really think of a favorite one. Rio Perlman was great in it. I still remember the day that I found out that Rio Perlman and Danny DeVito were married. I'm like, what? It's like, that was the coolest thing. All right, what's next?
Okay. Aaron says, "Hey John, it's Sunday. Deadline has dishonestly reported Superman is now the biggest opening of a Superman movie, using its unofficial 3-day plus previews numbers of 123, which is actually 125, versus Man of Steel's 3-day numbers of 116, including previews. Man of Steel had 128 opening."
I think you are adding that wrong, because if I go over to pull it up here and pull up Man of Steel.
I've got 116.
Yeah, it's 116. Yep. Now, so when you go to Box Office Mojo and you look up opening numbers, they always include the Thursday night previews. That includes it. They include that in the total. The one difference with this Superman movie is that it had a one-night early Amazon fan screening. And so they included that in the Thursday number. I think that was on a Tuesday, and they included that early Amazon in the Thursday number. But it didn't make a difference, because do you know how much the Amazon Tuesday night fan screening made? $2.8 million. That's it. $2.8 million. So even if you subtract that $2.8 million, that Amazon advanced fan screening night, if you subtract that from its Thursday total and from its overall opening weekend, which they should, but if you do subtract it, you're still at over $120 million. That means this Superman movie is still beats out Man of Steel and still is the highest opening weekend for a standalone Superman movie ever. So if your objection was that it shouldn't do it because they shouldn't count the Amazon Thursday thing, I don't disagree with you on that. But even if you subtract the total they got from the Amazon night, which was $2.8 million, it's still in the number one position. So Deadline was not dishonest. They were still completely right.
Right.
All right, what's next?
Ryan, the Snyder cult celebrating Superman's international box office struggles that the DCEU and Snyder's movies created is an irony I don't even know how to react to.
Well, listen, it's difficult because other than again, the Harley Quinn movie and Wonder Woman 1984. I am a fan of all the DCEU movies. I like all of them, other than those two. I absolutely love a few of them, like Man of Steel. But the reality is this. The DCEU ran itself into the ground. Nobody, like, it never gained wide popularity. Wonder Woman was the closest it came. But as much as I passionately love Man of Steel, and I think everybody should, the reality is a hell of a lot of people hated Man of Steel, didn't like Man of Steel. The fans in mass didn't like it overall. The critics overall didn't really love it all that much, even though I think it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. And it just never really took off. It never did. And now you got a movie like Superman and everything that's coming out after it that has to deal with the fallout of that era of the DC thing running the brand into the ground. And again, I'm saying this as a fan of those movies. I'm one of the people who likes those movies. But you got to acknowledge it. It ran it into the ground. And it is, you're right, it is kind of ironic now that some small segment of the fans of those movies will say that Superman should have done better, which I've been telling you all year, this number would be about as good as you can expect. When it was those previous movies that made it impossible for this one to do any better. Because those are the movies that ran the brand into the ground. And it just is what it is. All right, what's next?
You're going to love this one, John. Eminem, 120 million is great, but can't help but feel slightly disappointed that Superman didn't even reach 130. It was only 5 mil away. With marketing and budget was probably at 350. Is this more proof of superhero fatigue? Doesn't he listen to James Gunn and his original thoughts?
No. if you take all movies in all cinema since 2023, this Superman movie would be the 6th biggest opening weekend since 2023. Again, no, it is not superhero movie fatigue. This is one of the biggest opening weekends of the last number of years. It's the 3rd biggest opening period of the year, only behind the massive blockbusters of Lilo and Stitch, which is about to be $1 billion film, and Minecraft, which came razor close to being $1 billion film. So listen, again, it's so funny. This is to me like back when Game of Thrones was on, because like getting into season 3 and 4 of Game of Thrones, I kept telling people in our after show, hey guys, it's really obvious. Khaleesi is breaking bad. They're making it obvious. She's turning bad. She's going to be evil by the end of this. And for years, people said, God, Campea, you don't know what you're talking about. And then when the ending of the series came and Khaleesi did what I said for years she was going to do and was arguing with people for years about, when she broke bad at the end, people would have the audacity to say to me, that came out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Came out. I've been telling you for years that making it obvious she's breaking bad. It's obvious. And people say that. So anyway, I've been saying for all year, this Superman movie is carrying too much dead weight around its neck from the previous failure of the DCU or the DCEU. It lost all of its audience. It's going to take time to win people back. And that's the job of this movie, to win people back. And if you had asked me 6 months ago if I thought it could make 125 million opening weekend, I would say, no. I said, it'll be lucky if you get 100. 100 would be great. So yeah, this is a tremendous success. Remember, this movie is now beating out movies that are part of big successful franchises. This movie is beating out sequels to beloved franchises. This movie has beat out everything that's come out in the genre in the last few years other than Deadpool and Wolverine. This is the 6th biggest opening in any genre. I mean, so yeah, that's kind of my take on it at any rate. All right, what's next?
Optimus Prime Rib. We kind of answered this, but I'm confused. Outlets are claiming Superman outcrossed Man of Steel's 116 opening weekend. It's also being pointed out that Man of Steel actually made 128 if you include early previews. Snyder Bros keep bringing this up. Well, it's 125 for Superman, so it's $3 million difference, and that was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, again, it is all accounted for. It's all calculated in. The only thing that should not have been calculated in was the Amazon that Amazon fan screening night. That shouldn't be counted in. So if you subtract that, you're still at over 120 million, and it's still the biggest one.
And
All
they
right.
do guys, they're clarifying in the articles 3-day. It's not like they're like opening weekend all days. They're saying 3 days.
Yeah, it's and again, if you go to Box Office Mojo, they are always consistent with how they apply it. It's always consistent. So if you go through, they list Man of Steel, the official opening weekend is $116.6 million. If you go to, let me open Superman. If you go to Superman, the official is, well, they haven't updated yet, but they still have it at 122. But again, if they take away that Amazon screening, then it's still over 120 million, and
Right.
it still beats out Man of Steel. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Yeah. It's not like this thing beat it by 50 million. Calm down. Quirky J. Hi, John and team from Sydney, Australia. Went to see Superman, saw that the Universal logo appeared before the DC logo came up. Were they involved in distribution? I would assume Warner Brothers would handle that on top. Maybe it's international.
It's possible sometimes. Let me bring up the IMDb on this. Sometimes studios will make multiple deals, and like they'll distribute something, say themselves domestically, but then they'll sell the rights to somebody else to distribute internationally. So if I go to where the hell, I can't find the company list. Let me see if I can find this here. No. Okay, so distributors. Here we go. There is no Universal listed for distributors. Warner Brothers seems to do the entire world except Cinemundo. Let me see if I can bring this up on the screen here. So Cinemundo, where did it go? Yeah, so here's our distributors list. Warner Brothers everywhere except HKC Entertainment in Pakistan, Cinemundo in Portugal, TME Films in Turkey, but then in Germany, Mexico, Canada.
Australia is Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Australia is Warner Brothers. Yeah, so either you saw it or something, but no, Universal was not the distributor for it anywhere. But again, sometimes even the big studios will make a deal with some distributor to allow them to be a distributor in a foreign market, but that didn't seem to be the case here with Australia. All right, what's next?
Quirky J. Hey, John, if there was a John Campea film school, what movies would you use to teach filmmaking and clever writing? Some of my picks would be Galaxy Quest, Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, About Time, Star Wars, Cube. Let me know your picks. Lawrence of Arabia would be in there.
Which one?
Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia would absolutely be in there. That thing is a like cinematography masterclass. I would have things like Lawrence of Arabia, Life is Beautiful, Shawshank Redemption. Talking about best writing, best like just pure cinematic filmmaking. I'd have films like that on the list that I would do. All right, what's next?
We got Ric Flair's Martini. With most of the biggest hits of the last few years, Barbie, Wicked, Sinners, Superman, etc., all getting labeled woke and all making significant money. Should the saying repeated at nauseum really be reject woke, go broke? P.S.
Woo! Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm not even going to address this. Like anybody who I know you're using it ironically here, so that's that. But anybody who uses the word woke, I just assume is a moron. So I'm not even going to worry about it. All right, what's next?
We got Mashes, who says, this is cute. Took my 8-year-old son to see Superman. He told me beforehand that Superman wasn't his thing, but he came out loving it. The only two parts he didn't like were the bad words and too much kissing.
Too much kissing. Even wasn't there only like one kiss? Because like in the apartment,
There's a part.
Oh no, they're right. When he first shows up at Lois's. Oh, by the way, now I'm going into spoilers. So
well, we saw that in the trailer.
Yeah, that was in the trailer. So okay, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Superman kisses his girlfriend. Spoiler. The banana guy saw Superman. A weak script, convoluted Lex plan, and an unwillingness to let some characters act like adults sometimes hurt the movie. But its core nature is still a fun time. The Kent farm and Superman's heart shines. The end has some tears, 2 ripe bananas. Out of 5, I think. I can't remember his scale. It's
Is
a
that
weird
at a 1,
scale.
2, or 20? Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
But you get 2 of them, so you get your potassium there. Tim, some who call me Tim. New Fantastic Four teaser has me worried. Surfer is heralding the end of the world, but Johnny wants to date her. Pretty silly. Not the best time to search for love. If this is how it plays in the movie, verisimilitude is ruined.
How about trying not to interpret things from a 2-minute trailer? Like, wait till you see everything in context. Like, yeah. So don't worry about it. If you're trying to build this entire mind scope around what happens in this movie based on just what a moment in the trailer, don't worry about it. Just forget about that. Go see the movie and then take it in context.
Yeah, it's hard to say with editing when those 2 moments happen.
All right, what's next?
Blake, I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone, never allowing myself to lose control even for a moment, or someone could die. I could see the Superman and Gunn Superman. Bravo.
Again, listen, I just did a 3-hour and 20-minute live stream last night of an open spoiler thing. And I obviously I can't go into all the details here about why I so agree with you, but I think the movie models that. This is the most true rendition of Superman we've had on the big screen. Now, that doesn't mean it's the best Superman movie. Like it's going to be hard for it to replace my boy Henry in Man of Steel, but it is the most true rendition of Superman we've ever had. And God, I've seen the movie 3 times now. I can't wait to go watch it a 4th time. I might go see it again tonight, man.
Dang.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous, going from Malco Theaters in Memphis that has no theater subscriptions to Orlando that has a lot of options like Regal, AMC, Cinemark, Alamo, etc. that all have subscriptions. Which would you recommend and why? Any downsides to them?
Well, I mean, the 2 best ones are AMC and Regal, right? Alamo, Cinemark, they all have good, like if that's what you got around you, they have good loyalty membership things. They do. But the 2 best are AMC and Regal. And the best one is AMC. Because for under $30, I get 16 movies a month. 16 movies a month for under $30. That's the cost of 2 tickets. And the reason I give it the edge over Regal's Regal Unlimited, and it's a great one. Regal's is also great. But the reason I give the edge to AMC is because with Regal's Unlimited, if you go to see a movie, say in one of their, what's the name of Regal's premium format? Like their version of Prime. Like,
yeah,
it's not 4DX.
no,
It's
no.
anybody in the live chat remember what the name of it is? Anyway, let's call it Regal Awesome. RPX.
RPX. Yes.
So if you go to see a movie, let's say you use your Regal Unlimited and you go to see a movie in RPX, you have to pay a little bit of an upcharge.
Yeah.
And it's minor. I think it's like $2, $3 extra. You got to pay in $3 to go see it.
But even their RPX, they don't recline.
Right. Or if you go to see a 3D movie, you'll have to pay a little bit of an upcharge.
Yeah.
Or an IMAX movie. You can get in and get your ticket with your Regal Unlimited, but you got to pay a little bit of an upcharge. The great thing about AMC A-List is that cost covers everything.
Right.
You want to see it in Prime? You got it. You want to see it in laser? Got it. You want to see it in Dolby? Got it. You want to see it in IMAX? Got it. For some reason, you want to see it in 3D? You got it. It's all covered. There's no upcharges. That covers every screen format, regular format, or premium format. And so the Regal one is great. The AMC one is great, but I give the edge to AMC because there's no upcharges for the premium screenings. All right, what's next?
Colin, a 2-parter. Regarding what is a spoiler discussion, respectively disagree with if the studio releases the information, it's not a spoiler. Maybe spoiler isn't the most accurate term, for example, but some trailers do tend to favor revealing juicier info to get butts and seats that better say for movie itself. Example would be Doomsday revealed in BVS trailers and X-23 in the final Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. Yes, majority knew she would be in it, but majority also knew Toby and Andrew would be in No Way Home, which paid off in the movie.
Doesn't matter. What something's public information is public information. Like you can argue that something that the studio put in a trailer is a spoiler. Okay, you can make that argument.
Right.
But once it's in the trailer,
From our perspective,
once it is public information, then I'm sorry, that's not a spoiler anymore.
yeah.
Once they make it publicly known, just because you didn't know doesn't stop it from not being a spoiler anymore. It just is what it is. So again, we can have the discussion about
Trailer showing too much.
you know, did this trailer show too much?
Yeah.
Okay, we can have that discussion.
For sure.
But where the discussion ends is once it is in the trailer, once a director does publicly on stage announce something, once an actor in the movie confirms in an official interview something, once something is public information, it's not a spoiler anymore. Now it's open, fair game for discussion now at that point. So that's kind of the difference. Anyway, what's next?
The Dark Nick says, John, as the official, unofficial Canadian ambassador of Vegas, I need your help. I'm going this weekend for the Backstreet Boys at the Sphere. I've got my reservations for Top of the World, International Smoke, and Netflix Bites. Any other recommendations? I guess he means food recommendations.
Well, I don't think you have a recommendation for International Smoke because I think it closed.
Oh,
Let me just bring it up. But yeah, I know the location they had in the MGM definitely closed. Yeah, it's permanently closed. The restaurant, now that was our favorite restaurant in Las Vegas. It was owned by Steph Curry's wife. I think her name was Aisha. I think. The location was located in the MGA Glen, closed its doors after service on January 19th. Yeah, so that's the one you should have gone to, but as far as I know, it is now permanently closed. I love Gordon Ramsay's steak in the Paris Hotel. I'm also it just happens to be another Gordon Ramsay one. I'm also a big fan of Gordon Ramsay's burger. They have two locations. One, I believe, in the Flamingo. My favorite one, though, is the one in Planet Hollywood. It's a baller burger, man. I mean, I'd never liked paying a lot of money for a burger, but the burgers at Gordon Ramsay's Burger is pretty phenomenal. Also, what's the name of the big steak place in Caesar's Palace? Oh, we went there. I want to say it's on it. There's a steakhouse in Caesar's Palace that is like world. It's not Golden Steer. It's like the name of a guy. And it's been around for like, the brand name's been around for like 80 years. And I'm trying to remember the name of the place that we went there. Peter Luger. Oh my God.
Peter Luger Steakhouse, yeah.
Oh my, I'm not a huge steak guy, but me, Rob, Ann, Ray, and Cody, we went to Peter Luger for dinner one night when we were at CinemaCon. Because every year that we go to CinemaCon, I treat for one big team dinner, right? And sometimes we go to Bacchanal, whatever, but we went to Peter Luger this time. Guys, all I can say is holy shit. Holy, like I have never tasted something like that. It was like world class. So that's one place I would suggest checking out. It's expensive. Don't get me wrong. It's expensive, but for a once a year thing, it was pretty damn special. It was really good. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Did you catch the first 2 episodes of Dexter? If so, thoughts?
No, I haven't. It was just way too busy with Superman and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to watching it, but I haven't watched it. So they debuted it with 2 episodes. So it's not like it's been out for a couple of weeks already. It's just when they premiered it, they dropped 2 episodes at once. And I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm probably going to do that in the next 24 hours or so. All right, what's next?
Old Danny Boy, no spoilers, but the scene with Supergirl raised my excitement level for her movie 100%. As a person that doesn't know much about the character, I'm glad to see the clear personality difference, and it's not just Superman, but a girl. I loved it.
Yeah, and she's going to be very different, unique. And again, if you know the Woman of Tomorrow storyline, you'll see how this kind of sideloads. I thought 3 times I've been in the theaters, and 3 times every time she pops up, everybody goes nuts. So, yeah, pretty cool.
I wonder if we'll get a fresh perspective on Superman's parents in a flashback or something. In
We can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Can't talk about that. All right, what's next?
Well, I wasn't going to say what happened or anything, but Future Man says, even though I haven't seen the movie yet, I'm happy that Superman is doing well at the box office, because that means that DCU has a better chance at being successful, which means more awesome superhero movies for everyone. It's a win-win.
But here's the thing. I've been telling people again for a year. Now, in a world, if Warner Brothers got to choose, Superman makes no money or Superman makes a ton of money, obviously they would rather it make a ton of money, of course. But I've said for a year, Warner Brothers understands it's going to be very difficult for this first movie to make a ton of money, and it probably won't, and they don't care. I've been saying this all year. They don't care. Because that's not the main thing they need to accomplish with this movie. The 100%, and I've been saying this for a year, and everybody has always tried to argue with me about it. The main job of this movie was to get people back on board with DC as a brand, because the entire audience had bailed on them. And there's no denying that. The numbers are the numbers. The statistics are the statistics. The data is the data. The entire movie-going audience had completely abandoned the DCEU. And if you're going to try to start a brand new DCU, you first have to start with rehabilitating the image and getting everybody back on board. And I've said, if this movie makes $300 million total worldwide, but the audiences loved it and the critics loved it, they'll go mission accomplished. You can't have future success without doing that first. Now, if they can make money with the first movie, gravy. That's gravy. But I've told people all year, Warner Brothers understands that this first one cannot make a ton of money, and that's okay, because what they need it to do is be great and go over great with the audiences and the critics. A- cinema score, 93% audience score, 83% critic score. It's mission accomplished. If Superman didn't make another dollar, well, Warner Brothers would like to make more money, but if Superman didn't make another dollar, they wouldn't lose sleep, because they know what this Superman movie has now done is set them up for future success. That's what this Superman movie has done. And so, yeah, it's great that it's the second biggest opening weekend of any superhero movie in the last number of years. That's great. Yay. But I'll tell you what, that would have meant nothing if the audience score was like 61% and the critic score was like 48% and the cinema score was like a C+. It would have been great. Oh, yay, we made if they made $150 million opening weekend, it would have been a loss because they did not win the audience back over, and now the future of the DCU would be in trouble. But they won. They won. And now they've set themselves up for future success, and that is what I have said all year is going to be the main job, and they've accomplished it. All right, what's next?
Got Hardock says, hey, John and crew, I'm a good Canadian kid from, is that Guelph or Guelph? Do you recognize? Guelph.
Home of one of the big major universities, North America. Guelph University is a big major university.
This past weekend, I went to see Superman at the Landmark Cinema in Waterloo. It was my first time, and I'll say this now, we need more of them. The service so efficient and staff was on point. Oh, that was part one. Here's part two. No, that doubled up.
Oh, they doubled
Here we
up.
go.
Okay, there's part
they
two.
had kiosks galore, hardly a wait for concessions, and the seating comfy. I felt like I was, I felt like I have such a premium experience. So good that I canceled my Fantastic Four tickets at Cineplex in favor for this theater. Happy fan, made Superman an even better watch.
Yeah, listen, for those of you who don't know, in Canada, there's basically a monopoly on movie theaters by Cineplex. And I used to love Cineplex, man. I loved Cineplex so much, but they've, in my opinion, they've become really terrible. They've become really, really terrible. Good screens, good facilities. I'm not saying that, but I mean, their management and how they treat their customers, and All that kind of stuff they've just become terrible. But the problem is they're basically the only game in town. Last number of years, Landmark, which I don't believe is connected to the Landmark cinemas in the States. They might be connected, but I don't think they are. I could be wrong. I've never been to one, but I'm very happy to hear that there is a potential competitor to them emerging. Not just to give moviegoers in Canada a better experience, but also hopefully that will force, because if you've got a monopoly, there's no reason you have to improve, because you're the only game in town. If anybody wants to go to the movies, they got to come to you. But now if they have a legitimate competitor, it will kind of force Cineplex to hopefully do better. So that's the hope. All right, what's next?
After such an experience there, I left on such a high. My question to you is, have you been to Landmark before?
No. If
so, do you know their potential? Would you do what you did for AMC for them? We need a lot more around. Thanks.
I mean, yeah, listen, I would love to do what I did for AMC for any Canadian theater chain. I would love it. So yeah, if Landmark wants me to come and do Landmark Movie Talk, let me know. I would be happy to promote movie going for a Canadian film thing, but I'm not going to be doing this for enough longer to do that. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. I know John doesn't like 3D, but I was wondering if anyone has seen Superman IMAX 3D. I've been hearing great things about it in the format. Love 3D. Will always support it. I didn't. Now, I was tempted only because that Tuesday preview, they opened up more seats, but the more seats they opened up was 3D. And I was like, I'll wait till Thursday.
Yeah, Listen, I actually had somebody write in the other day that said they saw it in 3D and they loved it in 3D. And that's great. Like there are people who appreciate 3D, and that's great. I myself find it to be pointless and useless. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen a couple movies in 3D I've never seen the appeal. And it's funny, like when we were looking at ticket sales at our local AMC theater, like remember we pulled them up, sold out. And then we opened up the 3D theater, 8 tickets sold. I mean, yeah, I'm just not much of a fan for 3D. All right, what's next?
Antonio has a two-parter in the comment section. I mentioned you have been saying for 2 years that Superman may not be a huge box office hit, but all it needed was to rehabilitate the DC brand's public image. People lost their minds. Calmer heads pointed out that this is like Batman Begins, which wasn't a huge hit, but built a lot of goodwill for Batman and paved the way for the Dark Knight.
You know what, Antonio? That is the perfect analogy to this. Let me just bring this up because it was after Arnold Schwarzenegger's Batman movie. It kind of killed Batman. It killed the whole comic book genre for a couple of years. That's how bad that movie was. And nobody wanted to see Batman anymore. And again, let's look at this. This is Batman Begins. Grand total made $375 million worldwide. Had a $48.7 million opening weekend for Batman Begins. That is the perfect analogy. What Warner Brothers really needed was to get Batman's image rehabilitated and to win people back to the idea of Batman movies.
Because it was Batman and Robin before that, right?
Yeah, there was Batman and Robin before that, which started the descent, and then there was the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. So they went from 300 and something worldwide and a $48 million opening weekend to The Dark Knight, which made $1 billion and $158 million opening weekend. This is the playbook that Warner Brothers had been looking at. Again, I'm not saying that Superman's as good as The Dark Knight, but this was the movie they needed to reestablish and get things going again. After Batman had been run into the ground, they probably all knew that the ceiling of success for Batman Begins was going to be limited. It's going to be limited, but that's okay because we got a vision for more Batman movies. So let's make sure this first one's great. And the first one was great. That's exact. And Antonio, I feel silly now that I didn't think of that as the analogy, as the comparison. That is a perfect comparison to the current situation. Well done. Well done. All right, what's next?
Disney Gifts by Bryce. Mr. Campea, did you see the popcorn bucket for the Naked Gun from Regal? It's a very nice beaver. Is it really?
Oh my God, did they?
Hang on. Whoa.
See if you can find it.
Unless he's
Now,
just joking, but
that is a joke that goes back. He's probably joking, but that would be a joke that goes back to the previous Naked Gun.
okay. Okay, hang on, I'm bringing it up.
Because I don't even know if it's in this one. No, that's not
Is
real,
that
is
fake? This is Regal.
That's
This is Regal's website.
it? No.
It's Regal's website.
They actually did that? Okay, full marks to Regal.
But what's weird is, so that's Regal's website. But then when you click the link is down. But it is Regal's website.
Maybe it's a joke they did? Okay, but anyway, so it goes back to for those of you who've not seen it, there's a previous Naked Gun, one of the original Naked Gun films, where Priscilla Presley who's a love interest in the movie. She climbs a ladder she climbs a ladder to go out of frame, and Leslie Nielsen is down at the bottom looking up, and he goes, "Nice beaver," and then she comes down the ladder carrying a stuffed beaver, which is the joke. If they, oh my God.
Okay, but here, I'll bring this up because that was like some security thing. But
Johnson live chat is saying Newsweek has an article about the beaver bucket.
This is Funko Pop News, and it also shows on the thing Regal Cinemas at the bottom.
Okay, you know what, Regal, you guys are ballsy as hell, man. I think that's hilarious, and I never would have believed that was real. Oh my God, that's pretty good. All right, what's next?
Anonymous on the topic of Dookie Shoes. Hello there. Something I just realized: Thor and Loki haven't encountered one another since Infinity War. Their reunion is going to feed families. Do you think we'll get it in Doomsday or Secret Wars?
I think we're not going to get it till Secret Wars. Now, that's a pure guess. I could be completely wrong about that. I'm just guessing, but I think they're going to build that up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I don't think we're going to see till Secret Wars. You're right. We haven't seen them on screen together in a while.
Right.
So I'm going to say Secret Wars. That's a good question.
It'll be interesting because, Loki would be aware of his alternate reality's demise. He saw it. So he knows.
All right.
Anonymous, on the topic of Peter Jackson, what if he directed The Adventures of Tintin 2 since he was the producer?
I don't think it's going to happen. Remember, the original plan for Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson was to do two Tintin movies. That Spielberg would direct the first one and Peter Jackson would be the producer. And then the second one, they would switch. Steven Spielberg would be the producer and Peter Jackson would do the second one. But they keep saying they're going to do it, but I don't think they ever will. So I think that dream is dead. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, can you imagine going back to 2011 and telling someone the next time you would see Green Lantern in live action would be Guy freaking Gardner in a Superman movie? So stoked for the TV show Lanterns.
Well, technically speaking,
we did in that
at the opening of Justice League.
And he's like, no lanterns or whatever. Yeah, and then there's that scene.
Yeah, in that opening of Justice League with the dark side thing that I think got deleted but then put back in later, we did get to see a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
We even got to see Green Lantern die and then the ring come off and fly off into space. So we did technically, but yeah, this is the first really iteration
with dialogue.
With Guy Gardner. And man, what a great introduction it was. All right, what's next?
Colin says, 100% agree. Once it's a trailer officially stated, it's no longer a spoiler. Thinking more of a separate follow-up of can showing too much in the trailers backfire in box office. Ever wish you didn't see something in trailers before seeing the full movie? I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, the greatest example, I think a lot of times when people say there's too much in the trailer, where they're saying that before they saw the movie, and then they see the movie and they realize, oh, I guess it wasn't too much. But the worst example ever of a trailer giving away the whole movie was the Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey film, The Negotiator. You remember that?
Yeah.
You could tell they were giving you a lot in the trailer, but once you see the movie, you're like, oh my God, they gave you the whole movie in the trailer. The big twist in the movie is that Samuel L. Jackson who is the police negotiator coming in to deal with the fact that Kevin Spacey's taken hostages, I think in a bank or an office or something, I can't remember exactly, is that he realizes Spacey's on the right side and he joins him against the dirty politicians and cops, right? That's the big twist. But literally in the trailer, they go through all the progression of the movie, and then the trailer itself ends with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey on the radio, on their walkie-talkie going, now you have to deal with both of us. It's like that's the whole thing. They literally gave the whole, I have never seen another example of a trailer. Everybody says it does, but I have honestly never seen another example of a trailer that gives that, like the entire movie away like that one did.
Watch that. I'll give you guys a little homework. After the show, look up 2002's The Count of Monte Cristo. Watch that trailer. I understand it's based on a novel.
Yeah, Memento Boy.
Yes. It's
love him. He was just in
Jim
The Brutalist.
Caviezel and Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, that's it. Yeah, Guy Pearce was in that one, right?
Watch that. It is all story beats through all three of the what do you call it? First, second, and third
Acts
of the it's insane. Watch the 2002 Count of Monte Cristo trailer. This is our last of the tips. Dust G says, went and saw Superman last night. Enjoyed the movie. It made me think back to when I first found you and Schnepp back in the day with your Man of Steel review at the theater. What do you think the big sweaty would think of the new one? Keep it filthy.
Oh, like Rob and I were talking about this too. Like, this is every once in a while, like even movies that we love, I don't necessarily think Schnepp would have loved, but this is a movie Schnepp would have lost his mind over. He would have loved this movie. I mean, I think it's everything that he would have loved to have put into something like this. So yeah, I think he would have thought it was great.
100%.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. A big thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett. Thank you to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
And a big thank you to all you guys for being here and taking time out of your day to join us. Sometime either tonight or tomorrow, I will be putting up the companion video to last night's open spoiler discussion for Superman, as I announced last night. So keep your eyes open for that. And we'll see you again tomorrow. So my name's John Campea. Thanks for everything, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.